What is going on, YouTube, man? It's your boy Ray's Hellzell. If you're tuning into this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Turn on that notification bell. I'm gonna be posting more videos just like this one. In today's video, I want to go over the Washington Commanders' expectations versus reality for the 2025 season. Now, there's a lot of people talking about we had a Cinderella year last season. You know, Jaden Daniels is going to take a step back going into his sophomore year. And on the flip side of that same coin, a lot of our fans are expecting big things from us this season. So first, I want to go over the expectations that, the Commanders are facing this season. And then I want to go over some of the reality of the situation and then contrast the two. So first, expectations. For me personally, I can't, necessarily say what everyone else is expecting this team to do. But for me, I'm expecting us to do big things. I'm expecting a Super Bowl appearance. I'm expecting Jaden Daniels to be in the MVP conversation. I'm expecting Terry McLaurin to have another great year. I'm expecting Dan Quinn to be talked about as coach of the year. I'm expecting our defense to be not top 5 or anything, but significantly better than last season. I'm expecting our offensive line to prove a lot of people, to surprise a lot of people with how well they look this season. So these are some of the expectations that I have for our team this season, right? But on the same side of that coin, if we do not make it to the Super Bowl, let's say we make it to the playoffs and we win one playoff game and we lose in the second round, or we lose in the conference championship, the reality of that is that it's still not a failure. Just because we are expecting our team to reach the Super Bowl does not mean if we don't make it, the season is a failure. In my opinion, that's how I feel about it. I feel like the season can still be successful, but still fall short of expectations. That's how I feel about it. Some of you might disagree. Some of you might say, hey, if you're expecting to make the Super Bowl and you don't make it, then the season is a failure. Right. But I disagree. I feel like, yes, we are expecting, like we expect, Lamar Jackson to have another MVP season. We expect them to make the Super Bowl. But we're on a different playing field. So that might not be the best analogy for us, but I feel like we're honestly, there's no team for us to compare us to, because a lot of people didn't expect us to be this good so early on. So we really are in a lane of our own, in my opinion. But I truly feel like we go out, we win 10, 11, 12 games. We win our first playoff game. We lose our second game in a hard fought battle to, like, let's say a really good Detroit Lions team, or a really good Eagles team, or a really good Rams team. I necessarily don't think that would be a failure of a season. And I'm not trying to save face. I'm not trying to prepare for failure. That's not what I'm saying. But I want to be realistic about this upcoming season. There's a lot of teams that expect, I'm pretty sure coaching staff on every team is expecting to do big things. The Bears, they're expecting to do big things. If they don't reach certain expectations, that doesn't mean that your whole season is a failure. You still take what you learn. You still can do great things within that season and take strides to be better next season, and that season can still be considered an overall success, right? Let's say we win 12 games, we win one playoff game, Jaden Daniels wins MVP. All right. But we don't make it to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a failure of a season. You're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. Tom Brady played 20 seasons, right? More than 20 seasons. He has 7 Super Bowls. I wouldn't necessarily say all the other seasons are failures. Just if they went out and, they expected to win the Super Bowl, right? But then they only won 4 of our, let's say we go out and we win 6 games or 7 games. That's a failure. If we go out and we don't make it to the playoffs, that would be a failure for me. But there's a thin line between there's really a thin line between failure and success in this league. But I don't necessarily think just because every team that doesn't win the Super Bowl, you are a loser. You lost, right? You didn't win. But just because you didn't win doesn't mean you didn't have a successful season, in my opinion, right? So that's what I wanted to just get off my chest, because there's a lot of, this is new for a lot of Washington Commanders fans, right? For most of our fandom hood and most of our lives, we've seen either bad teams or very mediocre teams. You know, we wouldn't make the playoffs most years, and every so often we would make it to the wild card. And now, even last season, going into last season, we didn't have lofty expectations. A lot of us thought, you know, we would be around 7, 8, 9 wins. Very few of us thought that we would you know, be around 11, 12 wins. Like Lewis, he did think we would have 11 or 12 wins this season, and some of the other people did, but a lot of the people that I spoke to didn't have lofty expectations. This is the first, I'm 30 years old, right? So this is the first time that I can remember in my life us having Super Bowl aspirations going into the season. So many different people talking about us on all different platforms, having us in the top 5, top 6, Super Bowl expectations. This is new. This is new for us. So I'm trying to like wrap my head around it and put everything into perspective. Is that, yes, it's, you can expect to win the Super Bowl or make it to the Super Bowl, but at the same time, I think that's different from having a successful season. A successful season, I think, is a much broader spectrum than just making it to the Super Bowl. I think a successful season is making it back to the NFC Championship. That's successful. A successful season is making it to the second round of the playoffs. Now, if we make it to the playoffs and we lose that playoff game, I think that's a failure. Like, let's say we win 10 games, but we hobble into the playoffs and we don't look good in that playoff game. That's a failure of a season. But let's say we win 11, 12 games again. We win our first playoff game and we look good in our first playoff game, and we win, and we go play a team who is just as good or even better, and we lose. That still, you know what I'm saying, might not be a failure of a season. I don't think that would be a failure of a season. And I say that because still, I think our roster is good, but we still don't have a top tier roster. The Lions roster is better than us. The Ravens roster is better than us. The Eagles roster is better than us. I still think the Chiefs roster overall from top to bottom is better than us. The Rams roster is up there better than us in a lot of places. So there's teams out there that I feel like have better rosters. I still think the Bucks have a better roster than us. You know what I'm saying? Our roster has significantly improved from last season, but we still aren't top 5 or even top 7 or 8 roster wise, in my opinion. I think we are borderline top 10 roster wise. But Jaden Daniels is the one that puts us above a lot of teams, in my opinion, when it comes to these clutch performances and the way he plays, that where we can surpass a lot of these teams when it comes to playing them. But overall, roster wise, I do not believe that we are better than a lot of teams. That's why I feel like if we faced them and lost them in the playoffs, it wouldn't necessarily be a failure. But again, I expect us to win the Super Bowl. I expect us to do great things this season. But for me, my what I consider a success and what I consider a failure, you know, for this upcoming season, it might not be the same for you. It might be the same for some people, might be different for some people, but some people might think that if we do not make it to the Super Bowl, it's a failure of a season. And for me, I just feel like that's yes, I want to make it to the Super Bowl, but I just feel like saying that if we don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's a failure. That is kind of like that's a little bit, you know, not realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, in Mahomes' second year, they went into the Super Bowl or whatever they did, or I think they made it to the NFC Championship in his first his sophomore season, which is what his first real season was. But then the next year they made it to the Super Bowl, right? I just don't think, like, in the second year of a rebuild, you can just say it's a failure if we don't make it to the Super Bowl. That's my whole problem. In the second year of Jaden Daniels' career, in the second year of Dan Quinn as a coach, in the second year of AP as a general manager, in the third year of a new ownership group, it just wouldn't really make sense for me to say if we do not make it to the Super Bowl, it is a failure this season. But based off of the key players that we have, like Jaden and Terry and Bobby Wagner, and how well of our coaching staff is and our offensive coordinator, it's okay for us to expect a Super Bowl appearance. It's okay for us to expect us to take the next step from an NFC championship game to a Super Bowl appearance. But if we don't get there, I just don't believe that you can just say it's a failure. That's just me. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think, man, because I would like to get the verdict on the fan base and see how you guys feel about this. If we don't make it to the Super Bowl, would you consider it a failure season? What would you consider this season a failure? What would you consider this season a success? Or you would consider it's like, okay, we made strides to continue to go forward. We didn't take a step back, which would mean it would be a success. And what are your expectations on this season now that we are less than 2 weeks away from the opening kickoff against the New York Giants? Let me know down in the comments, man. Please like, subscribe, share this video. Let me know. I want to know all the fans. I want to know everybody who's in the Washington Commanders community. I want to know the answer to this question for you guys. I appreciate everybody who tuned into this video. And y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. Peace out.